Hey everyone, welcome to another Amiable Sloth theory video. Today we're going to be discussing a very special theory that's incredibly close to my heart. The theory is Qrow is Rwby's father. We all know Tai trained Yang. And yeah, at this point you may be wondering, so what? Well, why not Rwby? Qrow trained Rwby. In Volume 5 we can see she is terrible at hand-to-hand combat. Surely Tai would want to give both his daughters equal opportunities to become the thing they loved. So why train Yang and not Rwby? My second major point is that Rwby is 2 years younger than Yang. So if we say 2 years between Rwby and Yang, that's 24 months. Assuming Raven stayed around for at least a few months after Yang was born, let's say 4 months, so that's 20 months. And then Summer's pregnancy would have been 9 months, so that's 11 months. So Tai, in under a year, has got over Raven leaving him and the fact that he's now going to have to raise a daughter completely by himself, has got into a relationship with Summer, and has become committed once again to having a child after previously experiencing abandonment after the child was born. He's now willing to make that commitment once again. People take years to recover from that sort of thing, and he can do it in under a year? It just seems a bit implausible to me. My third point is a bit of a weaker one, but Qrow was the one to tell Rwby what happened the night with her eyes. In Volume 3, Rwby does her lights through her eyes and freezes in place a dragon on the side of a building. Now Qrow not only was the one to tell her that this light came from her eyes, he was the one to tell her that she's destined to be this great warrior, and he was also the one to tell her about the friends that she lost and the fact that Yang lost her arm and isn't really recovering well from that. Now these are all things I would expect the parent to tell their child, not the honorary uncle. We have to remember that, as Rooster Teeth have said it, Qrow isn't technically related to Rwby in any way. He's honorary Uncle Qrow, technically. Another quite big point is Qrow's picture of Team Stark. Often people who lose something or someone will carry with them a picture of that person. We know he's in contact with Raven. In Volume 3, when he picked a fight with Winter, Raven was there. In Volume 4, we saw him actively talking to Raven in person, as well as her being there on numerous occasions in her bird form. And we've seen his relationship with Tai is a good one. From what I can gather from Rwby Chibi, Qrow lives with Tai when he's not on a mission, so both of those relationships aren't lost, they're intact. So the only person in that picture of Team Stark that he's lost is in fact Summer Rose. Also, although this may seem quite cheesy, there is literally a ring of dirt, I guess, just a ring around Summer Rose's face. On the picture, it's a bit of a crumpled picture showing like he's carried this with him for so many years. Also, what I noticed is Qrow wears a diagonal cross as a necklace. If we just backtrack a little bit and go to Ozpin for a second. In many theories, Ozpin doubles as Odin, and Raven and Qrow double as Hunin and Mugen, the two birds that flew around for Odin collecting information from across the realm. Now, this is Norse mythology, and if we have a look at Norse mythology to do with Qrow, we can see that this diagonal cross that he wears on a necklace around his neck, it's symbolic for the loss of something once loved or needed. It stems from when people carried their crosses to be crucified on. It's that diagonal slant of somebody carrying their cross to go and be killed. So that is an interesting point. Of course, it doesn't have to be Summer who he's lost, but I think it would fit quite nicely if it was Summer. I know that a huge counter-argument to this theory is that Rooster Teeth has actually posted a comment saying that Rwby and Yang are sisters in response to a question. However, they have also published a post saying they won't answer questions truthfully if it's something known in the plot. For example, if someone had asked, is Salem immortal in Volume 4, Rooster Teeth would have said no, even though she is. I mean, it would kind of spoil the plot if they just said, yeah, you're right, sorry, Yang and Rwby, they aren't sisters. It was going to be a huge plot reveal, but you guessed it, so sorry, that's the end of that. Also, Yang and Rwby will always be sisters. Just because they aren't blood-related sisters won't mean that they aren't sisters to each other. So, let's imagine now that Qrow and Summer actually are together. In my mind, this is how it went. Everything was great. Summer and Qrow were having a great time together. They were really having fun in their new relationship. This is probably the first time that Qrow's ever really felt comfortable and loving in that sort of way towards somebody else. So everything was brilliant. Until Summer got pregnant. And at first they're delighted, but then they begin to realize how detrimental Qrow's semblance is to the health of both Rwby and Summer. And so they decide that Summer should go to Ty's and live there for a bit, just until Rwby learns how to walk and talk and sort of function a little bit and not be completely vulnerable as she would be when she's a baby. But then Summer dies, and maybe Qrow blames himself a little bit for that. When in volume 6 Rwby falls off the cliff, Qrow looks absolutely terrified, but he also looks very haunted. And that may have had something to do with Summer. I mean, almost immediately after that happened, we got a little more information on Summer, namely what she actually looked like. But anyway, separate theory video, we'll leave that till later. So, Qrow, having just had Summer die, thinks that he is too detrimental to Rwby, especially how young she is. He always assumed he was going to have Summer's support in this, but now he realizes that Summer's not going to be there. And we saw in volume 4 the fight against Tyrion. Rwby was in that fight for maybe 5 seconds, and already you've got logs falling on her about to kill her. So what would happen over years? Qrow would make the very heartbreaking and hard decision to let Ty look after Rwby. Ty already has lots of experience with looking after a baby girl by himself, bringing them up, doing everything. Ty has so much more experience than Qrow, and Qrow just decides that it would just be better and safer for everybody if Rwby just lived with Ty. And as she got older, it probably just got harder and harder to tell her the truth. It would be more and more traumatic for her, so they just didn't. So there you have it, my ramblings. I hope that made sense. As I say, this is a theory very close to my heart, one I strongly believe in, but please comment below. I love reading people's opinions. Please remain civil, as always. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you want to watch more of our content, please hit subscribe. We have so many more reaction, theory, breakdown videos coming your way, so I'll see you in the next episode. Good day.